Awesome. So I don't know, did you get my email?
I did.
Yeah, perfect. So we didn't really have someone lined up for today, but we wanted to take the opportunity to do more of like an open Q&A session and discussion. So for anyone that has questions on different scenarios or just want to discuss, real estate in general and what to expect in any kind of market and how to handle that market when it comes to your leads or what you could be doing differently to stand apart from the competition that's out there. I don't know about where you are, but I know in Canada, or a lot of areas in Canada, not all of them, but it starts to slow down from the work momentum, maybe not in the last couple of years because we've just experienced, it was a totally different market. But generally speaking, in the summer months, we'll notice here on our end, people start missing appointments, or they keep pushing appointments because they're balancing that life and work, and choosing to, enjoy their time sometimes and putting their business to the side when they feel like it's okay to.
Yep.
So what would you give as, kind of words of encouragement of why someone would still want to keep the same momentum going when it comes to the leads in their system, and what that means, because it's a trickle effect, right? So today, what we're doing today is what we're going to be doing in 3 to 6, 9, 12 months from now, right? So
that was so perfect to lead into what I was thinking. And
mm-hmm.
I was doing a training yesterday and I was in their dashboard, and they have leads that go back to 2017 and 2018. And they had switched platforms. So a lot of them were imported. So it's really fun to take advantage of the switch. So if anybody has switched into AgentLocator, that imported leads, that is the best fresh beginning you can have, because you can announce to your whole database, hey, we just got a new search tool. We want you to check it out. Let us know what you think about the search and the ease of it. And then you can almost build a campaign off of it to be able to ask questions. Have you received the email? What do you think about this feature? What do you think about that feature? So it encourages you to even understand what the consumer is able to see and search whenever they get an email. What are the emails like coming to them? What are they seeing? What do they have the ability to do? Because a lot of consumers, when they get the email, they may look at that email, but they may never click it, because some of them don't realize they can create and save and set their own searches.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can set up campaigns that are going to unlock a feature, so to speak, hey, on your next email, when you get that update, that's not the only home on the market. Be sure to click and go to and set your search up on this feature and send a screenshot or something. Just have fun with it and engage. So not just imported leads, but leads that have been dormant for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I can promise you, if you send the same emails, say, hey, we just got a new search version, your search option for your real estate needs, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to know it's the same damn site.
Mm-hmm.
They're really not going to know, especially if they've been dormant for so long. So you can use that to kind of refuel and get more activity. And what I love about just doing blast emails is you're building your priority list organically.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you send out the email, you're going to be able to see people that are opening it
mm-hmm.
and people that are clicking on it. So what I don't know, Crystal, do you have the ability in your site to search based on an opened email and a clicked on email?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately not. You can if you sent it as a mass email. Like if you sent that out as a mass, you'll be able to see the report, like how many people opened, clicked, and what have you. When you click
now on that report, will it give you? Can you click on the people that did click on it?
Yeah, so it'll pull them up, and it's a different fashion. It's not going to pull them up in your typical lead list. It'll kind of pull them up and kind of show you the connection. This is the email. This is in the status for that person. You can click on their name and open up their account in a new window. In that sense, you get to see, who all clicked into it and what you do with that information, or how you utilize what that, what you have right there is, solely up to the agent to.
Well, and that's such a great way to be proactive in your database to re-engage, because then you're prioritizing, because the people that open the email, you can literally send them emails one by one and personalize it to what they're looking at and what they're doing, and just really speak directly to them.
It'll also allow you too, if you guys are, playing around with different types of mass emails, whether it's like a newsletter type, or what kind of information seems to get the most engagement from my leads, so that you cater those future communications towards that as well.
And remember the subject line. The subject line is what is key to opening, right? I love the subject lines. They're like, did you know? Hey, check this out. Like something really catchy, like best priced home in your location. Something catchy to get them to open it. You're going to get more engagement.
Yeah.
But what we don't want to have happen is let all those dormant leads be dormant. Because yesterday when I was dialing, it was my favorite category, which was, we call it the priority 3. Those are all your leads that are actively engaged, no matter when they registered, after the 15 days, after the first highest priority. So all your leads in your database that are engaged, we were calling through them. But what happened, we had the leads that were imported, their searches were not yet set up. So we had the lead in like a pond version. So we transferred 50 at a time. So 50 leads, there was 3 agents on the team. I did 50, 50, and 50, so that they didn't have too many in their bucket. But every single one, when we started the dialer, while we were dialing, we were looking at their search and setting their search up based on when they initially came in 3, 4, 5 years ago. So I'm calling and doing this all at the same time. Well, 2 people answered the phone. Mind you, now both of these leads were from 2021, January 2021. One lead bought in December and one lead just bought in May. So my case be told, when I was training them, if you want to build your pipeline, you need to be consistently working your leads, because that's the only way you're going to have that ability to get lucky. So I said to the agents, I'm like, okay, so the guy that bought in December, maybe, just maybe, if you'd have been working these leads and calling these leads back in August, you would have caught the December. Maybe, just maybe, you were calling your leads in February, you might have caught the May. So everybody says, what's the best time to call leads? Well, there's no bad time, because it's the consistency that matters. So within this group of leads that we were calling, they were the people that were active and they were the people that were dormant. And those 2 that bought were the 2 that were dormant. They were transferred over in November, and they had been looking. And one of them, the agent remembered, and he just started being active again after months. And the note that was in there, it was like last April, May, he was going through a divorce, and now he's ready to go. So if you're not watching your leads, you're not paying attention to your leads, you're going to miss so much opportunity of leads that you paid for 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago. So it is important to send out those mass emails to see what you're going to get in engagement, because I'm a firm believer that when you're called to do something and you actually take the time to do it, the people that you're meant to connect with on that day are the people that you're truly meant to connect with. We can't change who's going to answer the phone or not going to answer the phone. We have zero control over that. However, what we do have control of is going through the process and making connections. And even if you get people that say they already purchased, look at all the other opportunity that's sitting in your dashboard of people that haven't purchased.
Mm-hmm.
That I promise you, those were 2 leads out of 25 that I queued up that already purchased. And I'm like, if we'd have been working it, we can't change the fact we didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't go back and say we did everything we absolutely could have to convert them. Now, if I look back in the database and I see 100 phone calls and 50 text messages and 25 emails, there's nothing we could have done anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But to look at and know this lead had not been touched in over a year, yes, that there's more that we could have done. So work your leads so that you're able to say at the end of the day, I did everything I could to convert. And it always comes down to consistency.
And managing it. So are you running your own leads right now as well for your own team?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is your current lead count in your system, like just overall?
Well, we have imported like 10,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then we probably have another 4,000.
Okay. So you gotta
We're nurturing a lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because our market here has shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody's like, whoa, wait, interest rates went up. Hello. So now it's re-educating all these buyers out there that are pissed off now because their price points dropped. So it's re-educating them to say, okay, this is where it's truly so important for everyone to understand. It's not about the interest rate. It's not about the price. It's, will there be a home, an opportunity that's going to meet your financial expectations?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's not, what's the solution? And potentially moving into a market, I just pulled 2 neighborhoods for one of my clients, and there were 11 homes on the market, and like 6 of them have had price reductions. So what's happened is we've had a lot of homes on the market, and as the market was shifting a little bit, the sellers and the agents were still overshooting the price range in that middle of a shift. So when you overshoot a price range, not only is it a bad idea, but when you overshoot a price range in the middle of a shift, it's really a bad idea, because now you've set history, you've got a high price number on it, you drop that price and you're gonna have to keep dropping. So it really does extend your amount of days on market. Buyers really truly need to understand, and this is where we can step in with our expertise and be able to explain to them what's going on. And I was talking to they were at the restaurant eating, and I said, what brings you in today? They're like, oh, we're house shopping. And I said, oh, God bless you. I said, how many contracts have you written? They're like, we lost count. And they were really frustrated. And I was talking to them. I said, the best thing you can do right now, because they keep increasing their budget, because they can't find anything that's meeting their expectations, so to keep increasing their budget. I said, but here's the fun thing, right? Increase it even higher, because in the higher price you go, the more leeway you can have in price reductions. So what was happening, they were listing too high. They're having one price reduction. If you go in 2 months, 3 months after that second price reduction, you have a great chance of having no competition, because that home is like not getting looked at anymore. Because it's been on the market for 3-4 months. It's like, what's wrong with that one? Even though now it might be in a good price,
it's just,
it has
everyone's
those
seen
days
it
on market that now question the consumer. And it's really important to be educating your leads. And because I think our interest rates going up in Canada as well.
Yes, they have. Yeah, I think they're expected to go up again next week, I think. As well. Yeah. So,
and this is, you can also utilize this time as well to meet with your lenders, talk with them, understand what's happening, understand what the programs are, understand the numbers and what the price ranges are doing in that difference. Okay, yesterday this home was $1 million. Now, if you bought it a year ago at the interest rates and you're buying it today's interest rates, here's the price difference of what your mortgage payment's going to be. Let people know, just engage in that conversation. And a fun thing to do is meet with your lender, set a date for a webinar that's going to be an educational, to talk about today's interest rates and what they project to happen. And email that blast out, just like we do here. Email that blast out to your entire database and say webinar talking about blah, blah, blah. And then you and your lender can be talking about, and so here's the thing. If nobody shows up who gives a flip, now you have content. So you're creating content, you're creating a video that is of interest to people, and then you can get the recording, and then you can send the recording out to people.
Yeah, we're noticing here it's a shift. So the market's moving slower. You're noticing the reductions. There's definitely a shift here. There's that precaution, right? But even, talking about speaking to lenders, I know a really good one. He lives out of province where I am, and I don't need a mortgage. I was looking to just consolidate some of my debt into my mortgage. He's like, just wait. If you don't have to do that, just wait. He says, wait till, because I think it's up November or September 2023. He says, just wait. You'll watch and see what starts happening come the new year, right? So they're anticipating that they will start to come down a little bit again. But reality is here in Canada, and anyone in here, correct me if I'm wrong, our mortgage rates right now are still pretty decent. We were paying what they were when prices of the houses were going chaotic. That was an all-time history low, right? So I don't know if we'll ever see that again in the near future being that low anyway, right? But it's because I know when we were originally looking to buy, they're about what the mortgage rates were about what they are right now. So it's I think we all just got used to those really, really nice, attractive looking mortgage rates, right? And then it's like, well, I don't want to pay this or that, or it's when you go to buy a vehicle and they're offering the 0% financing, and then all of a sudden you go to look at a vehicle and they're like, oh no, it's 1.9 or whatever percent. And you're like, well, what happened to the 0%? I want the 0%, right? So
12 months, same as cash.
Yeah. Although you'll always pay the same when you're buying a vehicle. So you pay the ticket price on those vehicles if they're giving you 0%. If you're not paying 0%, that's when they're giving you the cash discount.
Exactly.
So
Very true.
Yeah, you're always paying the same price. It's just a matter of how you're paying
it. How you pay it.
Really. Yeah.
How long it takes you to pay it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where people just get so hung up on what the interest rates are. And honestly, it's not that big a deal.
So and I think it's a smart flex. So I'm on a smart variable, something like that. Where even if interest rates go up with mine, my base payment is always the same. It's just a matter of how much is actually getting applied to the principal at that point.
That makes sense.
Right. So it's which is, I guess for anyone that has an understanding of mortgages, that's an option to, present to individuals as well, as you have this, because I can potentially lock in at any time as well. I can say I'm locked in. So, and then until their next renewal. So that's a good option for people that are also skeptical about having to pay more monthly fees, right? Like their mortgage going up every month and having to come up with extra funds to cover it. It's a way to kind of put that aside and still give them the opportunity without having to, endure that risk as much. I'm sure if my mortgage rate went through the roof, then that might be another story. But as long as there's enough to apply to the interest and the principal, then it's always just going to be the same payment.
And these are the things that people are looking to know. They don't really know what questions to ask. And that's how you can really have some fun with your dashboard.
Yeah. And that's, again, goes back into having that webinar, right? So if you have mortgage experts, and you could also be asking these questions so that you're getting a better understanding so that you can better educate your leads before even handing them off to a lender to fully educate them on that. You can at least have a general idea to properly kind of guide them or create that excitement to actually want to talk to someone now. Get that going.
I want to open it up. What questions do we have today? What's the rock in your shoe? That's always my favorite question.
Yeah. Everyone's pretty quiet in here.
They are very quiet today.
I've been noticing that a lot lately, though, with webinars.
Like 4th of July hangover. But yours
Yeah.
is, what day, was yours like the first or something? What day
Yeah.
was your Independence?
Yeah. It was the first,
Yep.
July 1st. So ours was the Friday, yours was the Monday.
Yep.
So it's, yeah, there's, but yeah, I know generally in speaking with webinars, I'm finding that people are quiet. So again, you guys, if you have a question or even a scenario that you've encountered, even how you came over that, whether it's with your leads or while working with your clients, or educating them, share that story, because we can all everyone can benefit from having a better understanding. But also, if you're encountering issues or struggles or things like that, I can guarantee you there's other people in here that are experiencing the same thing, right? So there's no question that doesn't benefit everyone,
Well,
really.
one of the biggest objections that we hear now, right, is that the interest rates are going up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important to be educated in how to have that conversation, because yeah, we want to close, we want money in our bank account, we want to convert. But if we're not building our pipeline, we're not going to be closing, we're not going to be converting.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to build the pipeline is to add value.
Yes.
And what is that value that you want to add to just richen what they're already receiving from the emails,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Are we seriously having nobody on here?
I know. I told you we got quiet groups. For anyone in here, okay, so we got Chris. Chris is going to say something. So I think content marketing will be even more important moving forward. Time to spend educating the public, thinking a lender video, stage or home inspector, like, those kind of thoughts.
Yeah, Chris, that is what makes you the local expert. And these are all things, it's funny whenever you sit and you think about all of the TV shows that are like reality TV now.
Mm-hmm.
If we do the exact same thing with our business, how many conversations that we have that you're thinking, oh my God, that'd be so great for a client to know.
Mm-hmm.
So just think about all those different things that you can record in YouTube, man. Mark Brenner, and it's MarcBrenner. He's Atlanta, Living Atlanta, I think is his YouTube channel. But he closed last year as one of my coaching clients. He closed like 28 deals last year just from educating on YouTube. So he goes on and he does neighborhood videos, and he'll go into a neighborhood and he'll just tell you why it would be so great to live in this neighborhood. He goes into certain sections of Atlanta downtown, and he does different video clips, and he definitely puts a lot into what do you call it whenever you edit the video?
Yeah, that's that takes a lot. That's the most time spent is editing, but you get better at it. You get good, you get creative, and you get to,
well, and even going back and watching his first video versus the video today, he's been doing it for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, every one, he's like, how can I become more rich and deliver more content? So if you do have that YouTube page, but the one thing that he just put out on video the other day, and I'm like, that's brilliant, because you don't think about it, because we think Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all that, but Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
So when you have keywords that are embedded into your YouTube channel, look at what is trending, utilize those keywords, and build your content based on what's trending.
Yeah.
I mean, just like TikTok, right? You have certain hashtags and certain songs that are trending that everybody's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything trends on YouTube as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we did this, I'm going to say probably about a year ago, I think Addo hosted a webinar, so should be on our YouTube channel, from a past webinar where I think he was from Las Vegas, and he completely utilizes TikTok and has built his fortunes just off using TikTok, but he's not posting videos about his open houses and anything like that. He'll go to a restaurant, right? And he'll film his experience at a restaurant in the city and like whatever, but also like incorporating maybe some real estate sometimes into it. And then all his links are in his bio. So it automatically brings them to his real estate website. And he gets a lot of traction from that because he's built a huge following of people that like his content, right? And because it becomes so personal, they are more likely to click on his bio and click into his website and, oh, he's a realtor, and potentially reach out because they want to meet the guy, right? They want to meet this
Well,
guy
and that's
that's
what Mark
creating all this
said. He goes,
stuff.
it is such a different level of lead quality because they've already deemed you a celebrity.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So it's, those type of content videos, get over your fears of making videos. I know a lot of us hate the cameras. We hate being, it's normal. It's normal. But the more you do it, the more relaxed you are doing it. And it doesn't have to be about you. The videos don't have to be you. It could be something that you truly are passionate about or have an interest in. And there's millions of other people that share those same interests, right? So, and if you have good content all the time, they just naturally start following you because they like what they're watching.
Yeah. And it's just having fun with what you're doing. Because if you're going to be doing it anyway, just record it.
Yeah.
And we talk the same thing about building your training.
Mm-hmm.
If you're writing a contract, if you're transacting it in that management piece, all you got to do is record it on a screen, record whatever it is that you're doing in a list, and then you're building your own training. So if you literally look at your business like a reality TV show, what does your show look like?
Yeah. Yeah. And again, when you're doing stuff like that, you're sharing content. So a while back, I took some coursing on like Facebook and creating your business pages and creating the followers and, trying to do like more like online marketing. And most of what they're talking about is what are you passionate about? What is it that if you were to align yourself with a whole slew of people, it's creating content that you're naturally attracting people that have similar interests, because they're the ones that when you start talking to them, you already have something in common, and you're going to have a higher like click rate as far as a connection. We have a question from Chris again. He has a lot of old contacts in his system. Is there any kind of mass email that makes sense to send to shake the trees? It's my fault for letting them sit, but I hate to delete. Well, we're not going to delete them. But what are your suggestions on that, Beverly? Like, what kind of emails for those ones that are just kind of sitting there dormant? They're not really they haven't done anything. They haven't been actioned in a year, 2 years, maybe even longer. What is a suggestion for information or content to be sending to leads like that?
I want to know if they're still in the market, right? I want to know, have they made a purchase? So keeping the emails very short, very sweet, especially if they are like a blast from the past, so to speak. That subject line, again, being very, very important. And you can just put homeowner, question mark, because you're like, homeowner, like, what's that, right? Because they were thinking about buying, or they did just buy. So you're kind of hitting the word. And when they open it, just ask them, hey, I know you have been looking, it's been a while. Have you made a purchase yet? Or are you still in the market? All you're looking for is a yes or no.
Yeah.
You're just looking to re-engage.
And what are your thoughts on doing something, along the lines of like talking about the market? The market is shifting. There's a lot of uncertainty. Is there any questions that you have right now that I can answer for you? Right.
Or
and then again,
take that a step further and ask your audience give them a multiple choice. Hey, I'm looking at doing a webinar just for information on our shifting market. What would interest you most, A, B, or C? And try to get engagement that way, because then if they're helping you build, they're telling you what they're looking for.
Yeah. Yep. Good. What do we have in here? Much.
We tend to really overthink.
We do.
Really overthink the entire process.
Yeah.
And all it is just having a good conversation with somebody. Or, okay, it goes back to, who is your avatar? Who is your ideal client? The better we know our ideal client and our avatar, the more we can speak to them. That's true, genuine marketing. So if you know the audience that you want to attract, you can speak directly to them. If you're in a move up market, you're going to be talking to first time home buyers. If you're in a
Mm-hmm.
downsizer market, you're going to be talking about the best time to sell and what to capture on. And, is this a home that you want to cash out and go into assisted living, whatever it may be? Define your target and start just giving as much information and meeting with as many other experts in that field that you possibly can to bring them that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is actually, and you can do this in your CRM. It comes down to your conversations with your people, and learning a little bit more about them, like building that initial relationship. If you have time to, instead of just hammering, get to the nitty gritty and then carry on. But if you have the time to, learn, or as you're following up with people, create tags that have to do with interests, things that separate them. So, maybe, somebody has dogs. I always use dogs as an example because it's easy and a lot of people have dogs. But it's like, maybe you find this funny meme or something, this picture of something. And it's like, hey, I was just thinking about you. I thought you'd find this picture a little cute, or, I thought you'd get a good laugh out of this video, or something like that. That's engaging. That's more on a personal level. It's not, always just to cut and dry. Are we ready to buy? Right. So, and there is an app. It's not cheap, but it's not overly expensive. It's called Community. Have you heard of that one, Beverly? No. So Gary V uses it. No, Gary Vanderchuck. So he uses it. So he's posted something somewhere, and he included his phone number. I'm like, this guy can't just post his phone number. Like, what kind of idiot does that, right? But it was a community. So you get this phone number, and it kind of works in it, and you can post and create these different communities based on various things. So it's almost like taking all these different labels of different people, depending on what content they expressed interest in, and it's all linked. And so it automatically categorizes them in those dashboards. So when they're sending out blasts or text messages, they can choose to send it to everyone, or they can choose to send it to all their, people that have showed interest in first time buying programs, people. Yeah. So it's really, really kind of neat. And, how they did it. So I looked into it. It's more on a marketing side of things. Like if you're looking to market and connect and blast, it's like basically you're blasting out messages to individuals. Without them having your direct phone number, of course.
I got my nugget today.
Pardon?
I said, I got my nugget today.
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking up Community.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, I thought it was cute because I think you can make different posts too about something and have a link so that they'll fall into your back end, into that community as well. So, because if you send a text like, hey, whatever, we're doing this, click, join the link to whatever to participate, they automatically can put them into that category of people that have expressed interest in learning more about investment properties, right? So it's a neat little tool out there. I imagine it takes a little bit to learn it.
Is it just Community?
I think so.
I think there's something else to it.
Yeah.
When I just type in Community.
No, it's community.com. Yeah, it's as simple as that.
But that's the app, community.com?
Yeah.
.com Inc.
No? Here, I'll put it in the chat here.
Yeah, Community Rewards.
It's just literally www.community.com.
Maybe I have to go to the address. Oh, I thought it was an app.
No, sorry. It's a web. I don't know how the back end, but you can. I learned about it a little while ago.
I was in searching the apps. I'm like, I don't see anything.
Yeah, they probably have an app, I imagine. But
perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. It's very cool.
Like I was thinking on our end of things, but it's like, all right, integrating it, but it's too costly to like be like, oh, and you can integrate this. And I don't think they had that into the APIs yet. That was something that's in their backlog to develop APIs to connect with other systems as well. So, but yeah, book yourself a demo, learn all about it.
Exactly.
Learn all about it. Yeah, I just find it it was interesting. I could see how a lot of people could take advantage of that for sure when you are building different spheres and audiences and things like that to engage in.
And that's what it's about. You never want to sell steak to the vegetarian.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's good in that sense.
Yeah. And if you look at your dashboard, it's who do you want to attract?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
you're never going to close everybody in there. But if your message is truly strong enough, you're going to attract the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to attract the people that you want to work with.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what's beautiful about YouTube, because they already know you before you know them.
Mm-hmm. You got those followers.
What else, guys? Come on, bring it. What's your biggest objection? What's your biggest challenge?
If I had to guess, it's the consistency for many of them. It's finding the time, but I call it not finding the time, it's making the time. Is how I refer to it. Because we all have the time, it's just how we use our time.
Well, I had an interesting conversation with a gentleman the other day, and he said, this is what I want to do, this, and this. And I said, what would prevent you from getting it done and making it happen? Mm-hmm. And he said, honestly, when I think about calling my leads, he has another business. Mm-hmm. So it's a family business. So he can't just like ixnay. So when he works the family business in the morning, and then he has the time in the afternoon to call the leads, his excuse was, I don't want to call my leads in the afternoon because I don't want to work nights. So I don't want them calling me back at night. Valid.
Yeah.
Valid. True. That's gone through my head. I'm like, I'm going to be leaving in 5 minutes. I don't want to make these phone calls and create callbacks. So I'm going to be leaving. So this is what I said to him. I said, Chris, how many people have actually called you back when you sat down to dial? He's like, only a couple. And I said, and you're worried about what? And that's why I said earlier, we overthink the process.
Yeah.
We think about the ramification instead of the actual process itself. Mm-hmm. So if we just sit down and do one more than we wouldn't have done, that's where your win is. Mm-hmm. And if that one more is only one, I think we can all be consistent at one phone call a day.
Yes. Yeah.
And at least you're doing something and not nothing. But I can promise you, these leads are not exclusive to you. They're exclusive to your dashboard, but you have no control over what they continue to Google or what they Googled before. Mm-hmm. They are in other agents' dashboards. These people, the average person knows 12 real estate agents. And that came from NAR. Mm-hmm. They don't need you. So they're not going to come to you just because they were getting emails from you. Mm-hmm. There has to be something that clicks to create that relationship for them to want to use you. Mm-hmm. Because trust me, they have other options. They just don't understand the differences of the choices they have. All they know is you have a real estate license. Any realtor has their real estate license, and everybody's equal because they don't think we work for our money. All they need is someone with a license to open a door or put a sign in their yard. And they don't even need someone with a license to put a sign in their yard. Mm-hmm. The only real person that needs you is the one that has to get into a home. That's the only reason people need an agent, if you really sit down and think about it. So our value proposition has to be strong enough to help them to realize why they need you as their agent. Mm-hmm. Because I promise you, the biggest percentage of all the transactions that happen ever, anywhere, is because that agent was convenient, not because they were loyal. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, it was my mom's best friend. Oh, I used the agent last time I sold a home. It has nothing to do with, I called this person because I heard they were really good. Unless it's an outright referral. And we can't track and scale our businesses on referral business. We aim for it. That should be an absolute leg that you're growing. But you can't scale and grow your business just based on referring. So you never know who's going to refer who when. But what you can control is the amount of conversations that you're having in your dashboard to build that pipeline over time. So the only thing that stings whenever we call our leads and they say they were already they already purchased, that was your pipeline that you didn't build. That was your pipeline. And if you start looking at your database like, oh shit, I need to have more conversations. And I don't care if they don't answer the phone. You're looking for that one person that does. That's it. Thank God I don't sit down and plug 100 leads in my dialer and talk to 100 people, because I would never be able to have the conversations, right? I'm just looking for that one conversation. I'm just looking for that one conversation every day, that one conversation. Because if you just have one conversation every month, you have a closing every month. That's 12.
I think a lot of people, they do, well, again, like I said, we overthink the process. And for anyone that is feeling like they're falling behind, even in the slightest bit, it really only takes about 2, maybe 3 at tops weeks to actually get yourself back into a position where your head's well above the water. And then you're spending maybe 15 minutes a day with new leads coming in. The rest of your time is nurturing all those people that you've already had conversations with. So, and that's where the money is.
Make the difference. That is absolutely where the money is.
So it's, and a lot of people forget that. We're also anxious to get these people on the phone in the first place, and then follow-up just completely goes out the window.
Chris, elaborate that on a little bit. For me, I overthink it, and the fear of calling has much to do, do you mean by not having a value proposition? By not really truly understanding your value?
Let's see what here.
All right, let me ask you this, Chris. How much do you care about your client? I know that's like a tough question just to put a few words to. But do you really care about what's most important for them financially? And while you're typing, I'll just keep talking a lot. Occasionally, not a lot of their idiots. That's all people want. They want to know how much you care, because they really don't care how much you know. They just want to be heard, and they want to be listened to, and they want to feel valued. That is what sells. When you care enough to call back next week and say, hey, I just want to check. I know we talked a couple of weeks ago and I got your search set up, and I'm not sure if the emails are coming through. And then you call back in a month and say, hey, last time we talked, I heard you say something about your daughter was going to be competing in it, blah, blah, blah. How did that go? Get personal with people, because that's what makes it real. That's what makes you real. Everybody else is a freaking robot. You bought yet? Are you buying yet? Are you buying yet? Have deep enough conversations with people to know what's going on in their life, and bring up those little moments, because those are the things that mean the world to people. Because today, nobody pays attention. Everybody's about themselves, and nobody pays attention to just that extra touch. So that's what's really important. And all you have to do to understand and know your worth and value, Chris, look at your competition. And that's what really fueled my passion to just want to save everybody, because it frustrated me so much when I would see the other side not being represented properly. It frustrated me to no end. And to look at what my competition was doing and how much it just wasn't in alignment with my values. And it's just when you get just pissed off at your competition, and that's what fuels you. And if you want to truly feel more confident in your worth and your value, what classes do you have to take? What people do you need to surround yourself with? Because if we don't have what we want in life, it's not that we're missing something, we're missing someone. Because it's the people that we surround ourselves with are the people that are going to take us to that next level. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy was such a great book to really truly explain that, because you are the average of the 5 people you are around the most.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read that years ago and I looked at my 5 people and I'm like, oh shit. They were complaining about their homes, their spouses, their job, and they weren't willing to change any of it. There was always excuses. And I'm like,
yeah.
I don't fit in that commodity anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of having that fear and feeling, you can feel the fear. We're meant to feel fear. We can't run from it.
Mm-hmm.
But just ask yourself, what would give me the confidence? What does it look like? If I knew my worth and value, what does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of create that alter ego and become that person just for a few moments and see how it feels. And then you can sometimes answer your own questions with what it is that you need to learn to be able to overcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is it a buyer presentation? Is it a listing presentation? Is it going to take that practice of really putting a great presentation together
Mm-hmm.
for you to have that, for you to feel that value? Because your worth and value is there. It's just what you're telling yourself.
Mm-hmm. You can practice those things with your friends and family. You offer them free evaluate. I need some practice. So I want you to treat me as if you don't know me. I'm going to treat you as if I don't know you. And then I want your honest feedback on what was maybe missing, what, maybe I was lacking something, or what you're really impressed on, or what you would have wanted to see more of. Because we get that feedback, because these are, think of it, potential home buyers or sellers, and what they would actually be looking for in an agent if they were to hire somebody. But if it's friends and family, you may just get that opportunity anyway, right? Now they see what you have to offer as well at the same time, but it gives you practice, right? So it's like we do roll call, role playing and what have you, to learn how to talk to people sometimes, but get in front of people and do those.
Truly also taking that information of the people you want to get in front of and know your market.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of agents just don't really know how to know the market. And depending on what your price ranges are, if a buyer is looking to buy, they usually fall within a certain price range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know most of you in Canada are dealing with like $1 million prices, but I would put it just into categories of what people are looking at in price ranges. Because if a buyer's approved at 1 million, what range is that? So what I do with our price ranges in the 100,000 categories is I do 50,000 increments. We start at like 200,000. And what's on the market at 200,000, between 200 and 250,000? How many homes are active? How many homes are going under contract? How many homes are selling? How many homes expired? And look at those pricing categories. So we'll go 2 to 250, 250 to 300, on up to like 800,000, to where the inventory starts to deplete. And then you can go, okay, 800 and above, or you can go 800 to a million, 1 million to 1.2.5 million. So it's usually the categories. And that's not only going to help understand what people are spending their money on, it's going to help you to grasp where is your market and price ranges. Where is that demand of very few homes in that price range and a lot under contract? And when you start doing that month over month, you start to really learn your market. Mm-hmm. Because you're like watching the trend, you're watching what's happening. And that's the only way I was able to even find out and realize that the homes that were 650 to 700 were on the market much longer and experiencing price reductions. Whereas the homes that were 6 to 650 were going like this, but they were selling at 670. Mm-hmm. So what happened when I'm like, wow, there's a lot that are under contract, but not a lot sold. But then in the 6 to 650, there were few under contract, but a lot sold. And I'm like, something's not right here. So I started looking through the listings. I'm like, oh, all these homes that were in a 650 to 700 closed under 650.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, my 600 people are looking at, like, we have our tactic all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look over the price range and drop because we don't have any competition instead of competing with everybody.
Yeah.
But you don't
Yeah.
catch those things if you're not really specifically looking at your market.
Mm-hmm.
So you just want to take little areas and hone down in, whether it's a zip code, whether it's a school zone, whatever it may be, because provinces are probably too big, but just hone in on a specific neighborhood and really hone in on those numbers. And I went so much as far as, we were in a very small market, 48,000 population. We only had like 500 homes close a year. Double sides, right? So you get the buy side and the listing side.
Mm-hmm.
I would pull the year and I would literally look at who the listing agent was and who the buyer agent was. And I would write it down. And when that agent would repeat, I put a check mark. When the agent would repeat, I put another check mark, because I wanted to know who had market share in my market. And you can do the same thing for subdivisions. When you know who has the market share and you watch what they're doing, just do what they're doing a little bit better. What are they doing? Are they primary listing side? Are they primary buyer side? How are they getting their buyers? How are they getting their listings? Start looking at their marketing. Know what your competition is saying. Know what your competition is doing. And then that is where you can get really creative and really create a different value proposition.
It's also how you can determine where you want to farm as well, right? So if you're seeing a high turnover area, a relatively high turnover area, but there doesn't seem to be a dominant agent handling those transactions, that's where you want to farm. That's where you want to focus your efforts, because you know the homes are moving, but no one's taken over that market yet. There's no one or two or, you know, a couple agents that seem to be taking on the majority of those buys or sells in that area.
So much can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where I learned too, that the agent in my market, she was working with a probate attorney. So it looked like she had a lot of listings, but she wasn't creative. They were just getting handed to her because they were probate.
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you can learn by what's going on.
Yeah.
You just got to do a little digging. And that's where I just had fun with my business.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like, are you, everyone on here, when you're talking to your leads, where you're actually engaging in conversation, and even Chris that asked this question, are you finding a lot of people asking questions that you just don't know how to answer? Or you just don't feel confident answering, or you're like, you just kind of caught off guard with the question, so you're just kind of pulling whatever you can in that moment to keep it going? Because I find anytime I've talked to any individuals, no one really talks about the market or asks questions. If they did, I'm not licensed, I can't talk to them. I would hand it to the agent. But I found most of them were just kind of, you know, casual conversations, and that's how I treat it. I treat them, I just relax. I have nothing to lose by calling these people, right? So I'm completely relaxed on those calls, and they sense that as well, right? If we're a little bit uptight and nervous and anxious, they're sensing that energy through the tone in your voice or how short your words are or whatever it is. So just be relaxed. Treat it as if you're calling a friend, right? You're a little bit more relaxed on those calls, and you're just learning a little bit more about their story, right? And some of them, we still ask questions about the market, but most of you generally know your market, I imagine. What's happening, you're watching what's happening. Most brokerages, or a lot of them anyway, do, you know, meetings to help educate their agents so they're on top of the market. So when those questions do happen, it's just more probably objections that I think a lot of people get stumped on a little bit.
Yeah. But knowing your market is key, because that's what really fueled my confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Was when I started really knowing every home that was coming on the market every day.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was happening in my market, it made all the difference. And then I was able to talk very educatedly in regards to what's happening in what neighborhoods and what's happening where. But if you're trying too broad of a reach of a market, you can't possibly know it.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much. And, you know, prime example, my little market in Culpeper, Virginia, I was able to run stats on my whole county and look every single day in the entire county. And I learned that we were an hour and a half outside of Washington, D.C. So we were the last community that was commutable. We did not have market share. The agents that lived and breathed in Culpeper did not have market share of the market, because the agents from the Northern Virginia area, they were latching on to people that started looking up there because they wanted to work where they lived, and they realized, or they wanted to live where they worked, and they realized they couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
They get tied into the agent, and the agents come out and they end up selling in our market.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very frustrating because they weren't the best agent, because they don't do well in septic up there. They don't know anything about the country.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know anything about our inspections. They don't know anything about the town. They don't know anything about the subdivisions. But they're coming in here, and the worst case scenario was, we had a builder. If you do not live in an area, you do not know the backstories of local builders. And this particular builder had filed bankruptcy and caught people with their deposits that people never got back. And the other piece of information that we learned when we were going through the foreclosures, they had so many liens against them on the homes that were foreclosed on, because they reopened then as another entity. But this debt was still going to be following them. And I would never let any of my buyers build with that builder, because we just couldn't trust that they weren't going to go belly up and they weren't going to lose their deposit.
Yeah.
But you come in from an outside area.
You don't know that.
You have no idea. And how do you find that out? You can't ask them. You can't ask the builder. You can't ask another agent. Like, how do you find that out? You really don't. You really don't, unless you do a lot of research. So, the biggest nugget that I got from Gary Keller at Keller Williams was, the smaller your target, the broader your business. And I was so lucky to be able to experience that small market because I knew everything within it. Hence, pick me up and put me in Atlanta. Oh my gosh. Sky's the limit, because you can pick any area.
Yeah.
But what area you want to pick? And then, oh my gosh, people that are moving in here, at least in Virginia, we only had like about a quarter of the pie of where everybody moved out, because then you had Maryland up above, and then you had the ocean on the other side. So you only had a general piece of the pie of where people could move. Where Atlanta, you have the whole radius.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting, because man, agents here are going freaking everywhere. They're like cockroaches when you put the lights on. It's like, here, there, one of my girlfriends here is a buyer agent. She's like, the amount of miles that she puts on her car, because she's going from this area to this area to this area. And I'm like, yeah, because people are trying to figure it out.
Yeah. There is a lot of individuals out there that chase people around. They're willing to drive 2.5 hours to go show them properties. And
I chose a lower price point and a very right where I lived.
Yeah.
Because
it's small. If you pick and you start dominating, like I lived in a small town for, a handful of years. And when you live in those smaller areas or learn to market in those areas, your competition is not as significant. It's, you're getting your face seen, or you're interacting with the locals that much more. But you'll start to notice is like, you don't even really have to do anything. You start getting business, because they keep seeing your sign on Betty's house and George's house and Mary's house, right? So it's the business just kind of comes, it evolves from that, well, they must be listing all these people's houses. This person is the person I should be calling. List my house, right? And that's what we saw. There was, like, where I was, there was three agents. There's way more agents in that area, but there was 3 that dominated that market, and they didn't really have to do a whole lot to do that, right?
Yeah, I didn't either.
Yeah.
And you don't. It's just being creative and just getting out there.
Absolutely.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll try to get someone in.
Some ideas today.
I know. Now, get everyone out there. You got to create some letters or emails that you can blast off to your leads. Pick your target areas, learn your market, and just call your leads.
Send it out as a mass, so you can track and trace who's opening and who's clicking.
Exactly.
If you don't know how, call Crystal.
Awesome. Well, always a pleasure. Again, if anyone on here wants to be our guest of honor, where Beverly jumps into your system, just send me an email. We'll jump you on. I know we're always looking for people. Everyone likes watching, but everyone's a little skeptical or nervous about being the guinea pig. But it's only rewarding, really, at the end of the day.
Well, Chris, why don't you sign up for in 2 weeks? We'll get you over that fear and call some of your leads.
Just send me
guys.
Yeah, all right. Just send me an email, Chris, if you're interested.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.